I'm a machine learning engineer.
So what would be the most important skills for me? And I'm really interested in ML engineering.
Data is everything.
Yeah.
Data science is just fancy lingo for statistics.
There's someone who seated there anasema mi niko na projects nashindanga nikitumia fee and CV au referrals ni watu wapi.
Don't have relationships with people so that you get things from them or you get referrals from them. Like the people you're undermining, those are the, just be friendly with everyone and not like with any ulterior motives. It just comes to show that you just need to stand by what's true and what's right for you. Doesn't have to make sense to everyone else.
Now let's get to the juicy part. Money.
It's above.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's your unpopular tech career opinion?
I don't know. Like, I'm trying to think. Oh yeah, I have one.
Yeah?
I have one.
MATUKA.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So I want us to start by you looking at this picture.
Okay.
And I want you to say hi to her and tell her who you are now, what you're doing now.
Okay.
Just basically introduce yourself to her.
Okay, very interesting because this is me probably straight out of high school. Let's say hi, Claire from, I don't know, almost 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm still Claire, haven't changed my name. I'm now a mom, which is like the biggest thing ever. I'm a wife too, shocking. And I'm also like a career woman. So I'm trying to juggle it all. And I'm really proud of the far yet little that I've come. And I would tell her to just keep being persistent, keep dreaming those crazy dreams. Because, you know that thing they say, like, I've always had this idea that I can dream so big, and even if I fail to achieve the dream, at least I'll land somewhere that's not too far. That's what I'd tell her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What are you doing now? Like, what are you doing career-wise now?
Yeah. I'm an ML engineer, machine learning engineer. I've been doing that for the past 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah.
Now that we're on your journey from then, could you timestamp your journey for us? Just this year, this is what I was doing. Take us through your career journey from then.
My career journey.
Yeah.
I think my career journey would start from this photo because straight out of high school, I honestly can't say that I knew exactly what I wanted to do. The thing with being, let's say, kind of good at books, you're forced into careers, is it like Kenyan parents? They want you to do like medicine, engineering, law, which are great careers, by the way. But it's just that those careers require like really high grades. And so it's automatically assumed that if you have high grades, that's where you land. But I can tell you for a fact, I had no idea what I wanted to do. Like 1 year I was becoming a doctor. The next year I did biology. I was like, I really don't like this. I chose to venture into actuarial. The other year I was like, I'm gonna do this. So like, I think right around the time this photo was being taken is when we were making decisions of what to do in uni. And I had to sit down and be true to myself. And I was like, I genuinely enjoy math. That's the one thing that comes easy to me. And if I'm gonna do 4 years of something, I'm gonna do 4 years of something I love. I have no idea like if I'll have a career like out of it, but I'm going to do something that I enjoy. And so, that's how I ended up pursuing a degree in statistics.
Interesting.
At the time, to many people, it didn't make sense. I actually, I have a funny story. Like, right after I graduated, from doing my stats degree, I went to the coast, just to celebrate the fact that I'm done with my degree. And I met someone who asked me, oh, what did you just graduate in? And I told them statistics, and they were like, oh, you won't get a job for that. And at that time, I already had a job. I was going back to So, it just comes to show that you just need to stand by what's true and what's right for you. Doesn't have to make sense to everyone else. But
Okay. Speak to the person who's listening and they are stuck between, I hear tech has money and I have a passion, the same passion you had for math. I have a passion for thing X, but this makes more logical sense. What should they do?
I'm a bit biased because I'll say, yes, join tech, it's great. But this is where I would say life comes in, life balance comes in. Because yes, you can make a lot of money, but you'll never be fulfilled if you're not happy. So you need to find something that makes you money, right? Enough money for you to sustain yourself, but also something you genuinely enjoy. Because remember, working, it literally takes the most of your day.
That's true.
Because I remember when we started working, it was 8 to 5. And it's not really 8 to 5 because, you wake up at 5 to get ready. That's 5 a.m. and you're coming back all the way at, 8 at night. So you're just coming back to sleep. So majority of your day, you're spending it in doing this thing, right? That makes you money. So you might not necessarily absolutely enjoy it, but I would say it's very important that you at least like what you're doing.
Okay.
Yeah, right. Just for mental health, just for your own peace of mind. But it still has to make you money. I feel like it's a balance, just like everything in life. You need to find the thing that's a balance. Don't run towards the thing that's making you the most money, and don't run towards what you absolutely love but has no money. You need to find that sweet spot. Yeah.
Okay.
So immediately after I graduated, I had this friend who was in the biostats class, so connections. Okay, you can say it's connections. But at that time, I had graduated top of my class. I had a first class.
Period.
And so he had already gotten a job, right? His name is Lawrence. So Lawrence had already gotten a job. And so my soon-to-be boss asked, can you refer someone then? And he's thinking, I need to refer someone I know, somebody who's smart and all that. So he referred me. So he's like, I know this girl, she's smart. Here is her contact. So I went in for the interview. Actually, it's funny because at that time, I also had another friend who had referred me for another position, friends, guys, who had referred me for another position, still in data science. But in this one, it was so in the one Lawrence had referred to me was a startup. Right? And in this other one, it was just a normal company, and it was a full-time position paying 25K, and this other one was a startup paying the same amount, right? As an intern, right? And so for me, I was like, do I want a full-time position paying 25K? This is where the balance of money and passion comes in. Or do I see myself as an intern earning 25K and growing more? So I went for the internship at the startup. Okay. So that's how I got my first job.
Wow. Yeah. There's so many lessons I'm picking from that. I want you to speak to the person in third year, fourth year right now. the market is a bit different right now, Claire. Would you agree?
I wouldn't know, but yeah, according to what everyone is saying, yes, it probably is different, if I'm being honest. Yeah.
Because more people are now in tech. So how would they position themselves right now?
Yeah, I would say, again, the biggest thing is experience. I think I've mentioned that in the beginning of my 4th year, I started freelancing services in the platform Fiverr. And honestly, what that did was, other than giving me a lot of skills, right? I had a portfolio of projects that I had done and worked on. They were small, guys. Like it's not like something like I'm changing the world. It was just small data analysis here and there. They were small, but they gave me a portfolio, right? A real portfolio. So in as much as I was referred to jobs, right? I still had to go for the interview. I still had to show this is what I have done, right? So it wasn't that I'm coming straight from books to work. It was that I had a couple of projects, a couple of things that I could show, this is what I've done. I worked with this client for 2 days and, I came up with this analysis of this. Okay. So I would say the biggest one would be to build a portfolio of projects. Now, I know not everyone is able to freelance or to do real-time work like that. I think it depends on how you are as a person. But you can also just go on something as simple as Kaggle, right? There are so many data science, data sets, and projects on there. And you can, work on 1 or 2, right? Just to build and prepare yourself. So I would say the biggest thing would be, if you want to set yourself apart, other than having the degree, the certificate, the certifications, make sure you have a portfolio, right? Whether you are paid to do it or you weren't paid to do it, whether you did it for fun or, you are just bored or you are, if it was something serious, I'd say that's something that would set someone apart. And I feel like in addition to you getting a job, working on these projects beforehand lets you know if this is really what you want to do, because sometimes you have this idea of what data science is or data analysis is, but it's only until you start doing the work that you really fully grasp what it's all about.
Okay, so I want to speak to an interesting group of people, that is people like me, because I think data analysis is now becoming a really important skill overall, even in my own role as a product manager. And how do I think more analytically? Do you have any pointers on, nisiende tu Kaggle niangalie data sets? How do I become a bit more analytical?
Experience. I feel like even for guys who are data, even techies, you're saying, guys with data analysts, data science, I feel like it's some things, yes, they might come slightly natural to other people, but doing the work, that is what will really get you analytical. I don't know, there's this speech I like by Will Smith, and he normally says that it doesn't matter if anyone has more talent than him, more anything than him, but when he gets on that treadmill, he's not going to get off, he's going to be the last one there, right? And that just goes to show that, yes, some people are more inclined to be more analytical, right? They are more inclined to be a certain way. But even for PMs and other people, if you just expose yourself, if you practice, if you get this experience, you will get there.
I love that. Thank you. Big shout out to PMs. Now, there's someone who seated there anasema, mi niko na projects, nashindanga nikitumia fee and CV, au referrals ni watoe wapi? How do I get referred? Because it almost seems like people who are referred are kind of lucky. So how do I get referred? Because me, I've done everything you're saying, Claire. Yeah. Nabado. I feel like then it's how you position yourself and who exactly are you
are you talking to, right? Because you might be the smartest in the room, right? But if you're just sitting in the room alone, like nobody's gonna see you. Like you need to put yourself out there. And I'm not saying like, even me by there, I'm very introverted. Like Fian, you know this.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to go out and start talking to random people. I feel like maybe even there you could say the way you said luck plays a role, because I'm also not the kind to advocate for reaching out to people so that you get something out of them. Like I feel like that's a very unorganic kind of
I see that
kind of transaction, and people can feel it and people can read through it. I would say just just basic human social skills. Just be friendly to the people around you. Make your work visible. I think you're a big advocate for this on LinkedIn, right? If the people around you are not referring you, a stranger on the internet will refer you as well, as long as you put yourself out there.
Okay. And I have a theory that I think vertical relationships have stronger referrals than like horizontal. Where if I think, oh my God, this person is going to change my life, actually it's you. Because
it's true.
Fun fact, Claire also, like we should put drum rolls here, like flowers. Claire actually referred me for my first role. So thank you again for the billionth time.
I keep forgetting. You always tell me, then I'm like, So vertical. I have a theory that vertical works better. And I think that's just why I'm saying, like, don't have relationships with people at least so that you get things from them or you get referral from them. Like the people you're undermining, those are the, just be friendly with everyone and not like with any ulterior motives. Because the people who referred me, I never had like motives like, oh, this one day will get me, like I never like had that in my mind.
Okay. So Claire, you got into your first role and slowly you started getting into the AI space. So I think you are one of those people who are pioneering the AI frontier before it became like a buzzword. What did you see that we missed? At the time, no one really cared about AI, but you were like, this is the future. What did you see that we were missing?
I think the biggest one is not necessarily what I saw myself, it's the environment I was in, the startup world. If you are in the startup world, you know how, crazy it is. Like there's always something new, there's always like learning, like this is pushed out today, this is going in tomorrow, like a lot is happening. I feel like that environment is what pushed me. And my boss at the time was very big on AI. Actually, like fun fact, like when I was hired as a data science intern, I had imposter syndrome because, and mind you, I had been a data analyst for 1 year as a freelancer. Me, I was like, call me a data analyst. Why are you calling me?
But a data scientist.
I had like serious imposter syndrome. But my boss at the time was like, but what you're doing is data science. Like, this is data science, what you're doing. So that's why I'm saying the environment. Like, he made me aware, he made like all, Fian worked there, like we were being like updated on the daily about what's happening in the AI space. One of the things that he made known to us was that you need to read an article about AI. Like for me, that's one of the things I was told to do.
Wow.
Every single day in the morning. Because that's what he would do. Like he used to wake up and, keep up to date with what's happening in the AI world. So as a result of that, what ended up happening is that Africa or Kenya was still, coming up with AI, but I'm keeping up with what's happening in AI in the rest of the world, right? Okay. And so that's what sort of made me aware of, AI, like this thing is happening, it's growing. And we are a bit behind actually.
Yeah. At what point did you say, okay, now I want to get into ML engineering? Am I just came?
That came later on. So once I started doing so, after 3 months of being a data science intern, I was promoted to a full-time data science position. Great. And so like, and that's why I'm saying the startup world is crazy, because I've literally gone from data analysis, I'm now doing data science, and it's not just data, because in data science what you do is you build models, right? You have your Jupyter notebook, you build your model there, and that's it. Like it sits there, maybe you pass it on to an engineer to deploy it, right? But the thing about this startup is that there were web apps and there were mobile apps. And we were being told, build the models and deploy them to the apps. And I'm like, how do you do that? Like, I was like, this is where my knowledge, it ends here. And so like, I was really pushed now to delve more into the engineering aspect of things. But at that time, I didn't realize, right? Because it wasn't so much engineering. I still had to do quite a bit of data engineering, data science. And then now we had this software engineer, great guy, James. Yeah, we used to give him the models and he would push them to production for us. And so like after a while, I did end up like leaving that company, and I joined another one now as a data scientist, right? But now here, and this is why I moved away from data science. It's because data science is almost like a bit general. So my understanding is that data analysis is like, Tableau, you're visualizing current data, right? Data science, it's almost like you're modeling, you're investigating patterns, you're building models. And then ML engineering is where now you can build the models and deploy them, and you're sort of monitoring how they're scaling in production. So that's where the difference is. But when I got my second role as a data scientist, it was model building, but it was also leaning a bit on data analysis. And I genuinely did not enjoy that. And I missed what I had in my first job, which was in as much as I was building models, sometimes I used to be asked to deploy this thing into a mobile app, into a web app. And so that's when I started looking into ML engineering. And funny enough, I had like most of the skills, right? Because it was, you need to know cloud. I had done like a lot of this, because other than working my full-time jobs, I still kept going with the projects on the side and all that. And so that's when I was like, I'm not going to be okay with just building a model and depending on someone else to deploy it for me. I want to be able to deploy it. I want to be able to monitor it. I want to be able to retrain it. Like, I want to be able to do that entire flow. And so that's when I ended up jumping to ML engineering. Okay,
before we continue, for the non-techies, could build model na could deploy.
Okay.
Explain to the non-techies what does that mean in layman's language?
Okay, let me give an example. Right? So assuming I have data, right? I have data on, let's say we are a beautiful place. We have data of rent prices, right? I want to be able to predict, right? Based on, let's say, the number of rooms, the location, all this, I want to be able to predict how much the rent of this house should cost, right? I already have data, right, of, I've gathered data from the entire Westlands area, hypothetically, on like the number of rooms, where the house is, blah, 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 location, and I know the price. So I build a model. Building a model is basically coming up with a tool for prediction, I would say that, right? But ML is very large, right? We don't only predict. There are other models that are used to understand patterns, especially where we don't know what the end goal is. But on this case, let's assume we have, I'm building something to predict what the rent prices would be, right? Of given certain data features, I know what the rent price would be, right? As a data scientist, I would just build a model. Like I would come up with a model where I give it some values, it predicts for me the rent, right? But the thing is that code, it sits on a file.
Okay.
It sits on what we call a Jupyter notebook, right? Now, assuming, right, there's a rental company, right, or a real estate company that wants a tool, right, to be able to price their houses, right? So how do I integrate what is on my file, on my Jupyter notebook, with what they have? They want to go on a website, put in some details, they want their real estate agents to go in, put in some details, and boom, they get like an estimation of what the rent price should be. So that's integration, I feel like, is where the difference comes in, because a data scientist, most of the time, although I feel like that's why I'm saying data science is very it's broad. There are roles where you do analysis, there are roles where you do actual data science, and there are roles where you do all the way to engineering, right? But now with ML engineering, now I take this file, right? That's this piece of code that has been created, and I am able, now that's what I'm calling deploy it, right? There are various pipelines we use to enable this web app, right, to be connected to this model, if I can say it like that. And that way, when an agent comes on their web, on the web app, on their machine, they put in a few things, the code runs, goes back to the model, predicts the rent. So that's what I mean by deploying to production.
Okay. So what would be the most important skills for me if I'm watching and I'm really interested in ML engineering?
Okay, I'll start with number one. You know that data is everything.
Yeah.
Like data is everything. And this is not even just with ML engineering. This is even for the roles across the board, data analysis, data science. I feel like some basic database skills are absolutely necessary. So we are looking at something like SQL. I know you've interacted with SQL quite a bit. Yeah. We also have MongoDB, but I know most people mostly use SQL. That's it's normally structured, so most people use that. I would say have some knowledge of databases, right? Because even when in ML engineering, when you're building a model, you still have to do the analysis. You have to understand the data. Most of this data isn't sitting in an Excel file. It's sitting in a database. So for you to understand it, you need to have skills to query it, right? To pull the data out, to run your analysis. So the most basic thing is database, right? Other than database, I would now say Python. Python is the next one, because I know some people use R here and there, but it's very statistical and it leans more towards analysis. It's rarely ever used in I personally have never used, let me speak for myself. I have never used R in deploying real world models. I mainly used it for statistical analysis, things like that, where it ended there. Okay. So I would say Python. Python is really good. And then now when it comes now to with database and Python, you can be able to do both data analysis and data science. But if you're now doing data science where you're deploying models, or now you're an ML engineer, now this is where you need to know tools, for example, pipeline tools. An example is something like Airflow. Although Airflow is used for data engineering, it can also be used for machine learning, right? To deploy your models, or to orchestrate that entire workflow. Another thing is cloud technology. I feel like this one actually it's even across the board. So, and I am very biased towards AWS. I love I love AWS, but I know a lot of people. I've also interacted with GCP quite a bit. But I also know that Azure is also really, really, really good. Okay. So at least make sure you know one of these cloud technologies. And the reason is, I'll give an example for AWS. Right now, AWS has a lot of built-in models, right? They have already trained their own models. I don't have to go through the extra work of, looking for a model and all that. They already have a couple of in-house models. And also the thing about machine learning, especially when you're dealing with large chunks of data, is that it becomes impossible for you to build models on a basic computer. You need a lot of, let me say, processing power. And so this is where cloud technology comes in, because then you're able to set up like, I don't want to use like hard lingo. Like, what do I say? You're able to set up like, let me just say processors that can be able to handle this. An example with AWS, again, I'm very biased to AWS, is something like SageMaker. So SageMaker basically has EC2 instances. That's what we call them. It's basically like cool processors, like really big ones, okay?
Look at you trying to paint the picture, guys.
And it enables you to create models like ML models, particularly like for really huge chunks of data, right? And you can even create APIs for some of these models right there on SageMaker, right? Because again, the thing with having this quote unquote file, you remember the file I told you?
Yes.
You have a model on a file. It really like, what if your laptop shuts off? That's it. Like, what if, like, if you're hosting it on your laptop, what if and like the way in Kenya we have electricity issues. So this is where cloud comes in, because in cloud, like, there's no such thing as the cloud has gone off. As at now. Hopefully it never happens. But yeah, that's what I would say. I've said cloud, some pipeline orchestration tools, Python, and database. Basic. All
right. Yeah. Now you're an ML engineer. How did you get your role right now? And where did it change the game for you? Like, where were you like, okay, I think I'm actually like really good in my career? At what point did that happen? And how did you get that specific role for someone who is in their career and they're looking for that, that role that kind of changes things for you? Yeah. Take me through that process.
It's actually funny because I think we've highlighted that I got my first job because of, referrals.
Yes.
But it's important to note I got my second job because a recruiter reached out to me on LinkedIn, right? The second role that I told you about, the data science. A recruiter reached out to me on LinkedIn because I had posted some few things here and there, and at the time I also had a website. So I used to like sometimes write blogs and, things about what I was doing. So my second role, I got it because a recruiter actually reached out to me. I went for the interview, did well, and then got the role. Now for my third role, at this time, I had already figured out I want to be a machine learning engineer. This is what I want. So I was actively, like, that job process of applying and all that. I literally was on LinkedIn. I was I'm part of this group called AI Kenya, right? They also have a website where they post jobs. So I also looked into there. Like I was actively looking at machine learning roles, and I applied like any normal person. Nobody knew me at this company. Absolutely nobody knew me. And I just went through the series of interviews. I think I had around 4 Like there were 4 stages. And I was just myself. Like I talked about what I have done. I talked about my experience. I talked about why I want to be an ML engineer. Because remember, before this, I was not officially. Also remember, some of these things is just titles. You might be a data scientist and you're probably already doing ML engineering. It's just like a title, you know, a title thing. But for me, like, yeah, I was actively looking at roles. I applied, went through the interviews, and I got it. No one knew me, no referrals, nothing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what does a day in the life of an ML engineer look like, a typical day? So just in case someone is interested, what does it look like?
I feel like it's very varied and it depends on the stage, right? So as I've said, in where I currently work, ML engineering covers everything from data science all the way to, you know, deploying models. So on a random Monday, I could be doing something as basic as EDA, that's exploratory data analysis, which is what I said is important to know database. I could be just trying to understand data, right, for a project that's coming in. Another day, once I've understood the data, I could be trying to build models, right? So that's building models, testing their accuracy, seeing if it makes sense, right? Once I've built models, on another day now, I could be quote unquote creating a pipeline to deploy it to production. And then on another day, I could be doing bug fixes, right? Because a lot of things happen in production. So like on some day, I could be just fixing bugs that occurred. On another day, I could be doing monitoring. So a big thing with ML engineering is you have to monitor how your model is performing in production, so that you know, like, you know, sometimes data changes. There are normally shifts in data, if I can call it that, right? It's the same way, like, for example, buying patterns, right? Many people wait for Black Friday to start shopping, right? So the data of shopping that I might have in April is very different from Christmas. So if I had built a model around data in April, it might not work for clients who are shopping in December or November, because then data has shifted, right? The patterns have changed, right? So that's why it's important to monitor these models. So I'm just like checking if data has any shift in data occurred. Is this model still performing well at this time? Is there a need to retrain another model? Right. So yeah,
that's the day-to-day.
Yeah, that's my day-to-day. It's very random. It's, you know, and then now, of course, we have days for meetings. There are days for learning, where, like, I think there's this belief that you know everything. You really don't. Like, and I thank God for where I work currently, because we have the ability to say, hey, I've never worked with that tool, or I've never built such a model. Give me time to learn about it, and then I'll build it.
I like that.
So yeah, there's a lot of learning. Yeah.
Okay. So Claire, you've taken us through your career journey up until now, and it feels like very smooth sailing. Woohoo! So help us understand what moments have been difficult seasons throughout your career. Take us through that.
Hey, I have several. I would say, especially in the startup world, it was very hard because one day I would be asked to build a model that, you know, I don't know, predicts sickle cell, right? I build the model. Guys, I'm not sleeping. I'm building this model. And then boom, you know, an investor comes in and is like, no.
Thanks.
Yeah, and then you're told, do something else. And you've literally invested your blood, sweat, and tears. So I feel like that was really hard for me. especially because of the kind of personality that I have. Like it used to like really bother me. You know, I hate it when goalposts are shifted, and it's really like it takes a toll on you, because you know you've worked hard on something. It doesn't feel nice like when it's not being used. You know, at least for me, I want what I've built, you know, to be used, to have an impact, right? Yeah. I don't just want to build and then it's, you know, shelved, you know, a bookshelf, you know, gathering dust. I really don't want that. So I feel like there's such seasons when I was in the startup space were really, really hard for me. But I feel like it also helped me understand that, you know, this is not my mother's company. Like this is, you know, this is the real world. What you do might make sense today and might not make sense tomorrow, right? So you need to be able to adapt. You need to be able to change. So that's one of the seasons that was really hard for me. Another season was still in the startup space. So I evolved. Once I was a data scientist, I evolved into having my own team, like within a very short span. So I was leading a group of data scientists, right? Or rather, I was leading a group of data scientists. So the shift from working alone and focusing only on my work to now managing other people and guiding them through what they're doing and setting, like, you know, goals and things like that for them. It was it took me a bit of a change, and it was difficult learning, right? Because again, at this point, I was still fairly new. I was like 2 years into the data science space. And this is why startup world will like push you. Like I feel like a startup world is very good if you want to learn quickly. Because then I was forced literally to not only learn how to learn when I'm on my own, but to also learn and to be able to lead a group of people, right? Who you guys are also doing the same thing. And something interesting I learned about leadership is that being a leader isn't defined by like you telling people do this and do that. I feel like it's really being able to get people to understand, you know, the vision and willingly, right? Willingly be able to like do things as a team collectively. I feel like that was it was hard when I started, but at the end I really learned a lot and I'm grateful for that experience. Another season was still in the startup world. As I was managing, it was very hard to balance management and still coding, right? For me, I still wanted to code all day, but then I was being pulled into meetings and doing all these management things, which at the time, I felt like I really just want to build my skills on coding. So that push, and that's actually why, like, one of the major reasons for me leaving that job is because I was like, it's not that I don't want to lead. I genuinely do want to lead. But at this time in my life, that was like 3 years ago, at this time in my life, I really want to build my skills, because having the confidence to lead people when you really don't know what you're doing is like... Okay, it's not like you don't know what you're doing, but you know, I feel like sometimes you feel like you want to be able to know more, right? Because you also want to add value. You want to be able to add value to people. And I'm not saying that leaders need to know everything. They just need to know enough. And I wanted to know enough, right? I wanted to be confident in my skills, and I wanted to explore the full breadth of what AI, ML, data science was.
Okay. Wow. And burnout, seasons of burnout, because I know many people in corporate go through this. Have you gone through this? What did you do to support yourself then? And how do I manage it now if I'm going through burnout?
Rest. I found this out like the hard way. Like, I feel like for me, it took it took a long time for me to realize I was burnt out. Like at the time I was burnt out. And like it got to a point I was even becoming sick, and I'm going to hospital, and there's literally nothing is going on with me, right? And I feel, let me start with how you can know that you're going through a burnout. I feel like that's important. One, if you have unexplained illnesses, right? Like you have an illness, you're sick today, you're not sick tomorrow, you're sick the next day, and you have no idea. Like when you go to hospital, they're telling you you're fine, right? Another thing is lack of sleep, right? I used to have sleepless nights. Like I'm not sleeping, like I'm constantly anxious, right? And then another thing was mood change. Like when you change, like how you are as a person. Let me say that. I'm a very carefree person, ish. I'm saying that because of you. But like when my mood started changing, now I'm not as, I'm very optimistic. When I'm not as optimistic, I knew something was up. Yeah, I knew something was up. And so now, like what I did to get out of that season, number one, I really had to introspect as to why am I burnt out? Like, is it too much work? Is it the environment I'm in? Is it the culture? Like what exactly is causing this burnout, right? What in me as a person is making it unable for me to cope in this environment? And I was really honest with myself. And this is why I ended up moving away from the startup space and moving more towards corporate. I'm a very structured person. I love structure. I know most people don't, but I thrive in structure.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be too much structure. It just needs to be enough, right? And so like these are things I found out about myself. And then I rested.
Nice.
Like I actually had like a 1 year break from work.
Wow.
Where I literally rested. I was still doing like contracts. Like I would do 3-month contracts, 6-month contracts, and so on, but nothing full time. But I rested. And by the time I came out of that season, I knew exactly what I wanted to do, where I wanted to do it, where I see myself, in the next few years. Gave me a lot of clarity, and even how I could prevent burnout in the future.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. Now let's get to the juicy part. Money.
Yeah.
So you started out with 25K.
Yeah.
As an intern.
Yeah.
Take us through your salaries, how they've gone, where you are at, if you can share the range, and speak to the person who is expecting to come into tech and anaona to, wow, tech pays.
Yeah. Actually, we can start with when I was freelancing.
Yeah, sure. Yes.
Because when I was freelancing, when I started out, I remember, I don't know, I can't remember exactly what I was charging, but it was probably like $10-15 an hour. But I remember by the time it was end of 4th year, I actually paid for most of my graduation things, like most of them, because at the time I was making on average like 60K
a month. Wow.
Freelancing.
Wow, in campus.
Yeah, in campus.
Wow.
I was making that like 60K, like 70. If I really push myself, like I'm not sleeping that month, maybe an 80K, something like that. But that's what I was making at the time. Don't ask me where that money went, girl. I don't know. I bought shoes, wigs, everything.
She's now financially responsible, guys.
So after that, then now you see why, like, I remember even before I got my first job, because of this whole money situation, I told my parents, guys, I'm not getting a job. Like,
I can make my own money.
Yeah, I literally had told my parents I'm not getting a job. It was my mom who pushed me. She was even the one who pushed me to go for the interviews when I'd been referred, because she was like, I think it's important for you to, learn with other people. And I thank God for her, because she was right. It's very true. there's only so much you can learn in freelancing. But when you're working with other people, a team of people, oh my goodness, there's so much knowledge you can get from there. So as you can see, I went from freelancing of 60K to now getting a pay cut, quote unquote, because as an intern I was earning 25,000. Yeah. So and I started interning literally, like I graduated in November. In January I was working. So after 3 months I got a bump. I think I started getting 35K, something like that. And then this is net. This is net.
Okay.
And then after a few months, now when I started leading like other data scientists, I started earning, I think it was 70. It was around 70.
Yeah, you shared with me.
Oh, I did?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. And I was like, oh my God. What are they paying me?
What are you earning? Yeah, so after that I got an increase to 70K, that's net. So gross it was slightly over 100,000. And yeah, I stayed like that for a minute. And then that's when I quit. So then I went back to freelancing. Now in freelancing again, now at this time I had more experience. So I was no longer charging $10 an hour. No. I was charging like $45 to $50 an hour. So depending on when I had a contract, honestly some contracts were like 200K, others 250
net.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
so,
really cool.
But that's like for a period. Let's say you have a contract of 3 months. So you see, if you're being paid 250, if you divide that by 3, it's really like around 80. It's almost like similar to what I was earning. And then now I got my next job. Now here, also like there was also one contract like where I really like, that one. There's one that paid me that 200 and something in like a month.
Sasa watu watapata aje? Ebu ambia watu.
Those ones are connections. Like people, like when I was in a startup space, I met a lot of people. And so when I left and I let them know, oh, by the way, I'm no longer working at this startup, but like, oh, can you do this for me like on a contract basis? Also like these weren't Kenyan companies. So I think it's important to note that. It wasn't Kenyan companies. So I'm converting from dollars. From dollars to Kenya shillings. Also, I think it's important to note that during this freelancing season, I'm not getting that money every month. There are months where you literally earn zero. Like zero. I remember I used to get paid and then I pay 3 to 4 months of rent in advance. Because you don't know about next month. So it's not all, oh my God, you're swimming in wealth. No. I actually prefer a monthly salary, guys. Hey, freelancing. So I think it's important so that I don't paint a picture of freelancing as this, glorious. Like glorious. No, it isn't. Ni kujipanga sana. It was a lot. And then now this other role, let me share a range. So at this point now, I knew I could earn 200, above 200 a month based on the contracts that I was getting. So let's say at this point, I was doing between 150 to 250 per month net.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and then now after that, let's say above.
It's just it's up.
It's above 200.
Okay. So that's where you would look at if you're getting in the ML space around those ranges. I would say. I feel like it's even more because if you're working for companies outside Kenya, I feel like the range, like I hear some people talking of $1 million. I'm like, what? So it's definitely like up there. All right. What would you say to someone who's romanticizing Texas and ndio kuna do sana?
I really don't. I don't know how to answer that question. again, because me as a person, I'm very, I believe, yes, you need to make a lot of money, but I also believe like the world is more than just money.
Got you.
You can make all the money in the world and still be the most unfulfilled person. You can make all the money in the world and buy clothes today and it's all gone. You know, so I would encourage more introspection and more passion, right? And then tying that in now with money. Because even like people will wanasema like tech has a lot of money, so does entrepreneurship. Actually, entrepreneurs make a lot of money, right? Not all of them. Like it's very varied.
Entrepreneurs are like, huh?
But like even with tech, like there's something, like where I started with 25K, you know? So I feel like it's important, if you're not patient, it's just like with everything in life, patience. If I'm romanticizing this tech money and then I enter somewhere and they pay me 25K, then I'll be like, no. But in reality, things grow, things take time. We just need to be patient.
Now, Claire said she's a mom. Can we want to gift you something?
Oh, thank you.
Courtesy of Petali Flowers.
Thank
Absolutely
you.
amazing. Congratulations, Claire, on everything, on 1 year plus in motherhood.
Thank you.
And building such an amazing career through it.
Thanks.
You deserve all the flowers.
Yeah, I'll give this to my baby.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, this is so cute. Thank you.
So I want you to speak to the women who are thinking of, I really want an incredible career like Claire's, and I also want to have a family. Be a mom. What would you say to those women who are dreaming of?
First of all, you're a woman, right? You got this. Okay. I feel like there's no instruction manual on entering motherhood, especially when you have a career. I won't lie to you that it's all easy. No, there's like a lot of sleepless nights. You're literally not sleeping and you still have to show up at work the next day and be present. I would say number one, you won't be the same, right? I for a fact know I'm not the same like I was, right? Before motherhood. I'm not able to show up the same way. And that's simply because now, like, you know, I'm very worried about this little person that I'm taking care of, and that's okay. I like to say that with motherhood and career, there's no such thing as a balance. There are days where motherhood wins, like you're doing so well. Like, you know, you did the whole routine with your baby, you played with them, like, you know, you showed up. And then there are days where your career suffers as a result. But then there are also days where your career is what, you know, is what you're really excelling in. And then other days, you feel like you've not done your best at motherhood. I would tell these women, don't pressure yourself. Like when you're entering motherhood, there's no such thing as perfection. You need to let go of that unrealistic goal. You just have to do the best you can with whatever you have. I'll give an example of myself. So I entered motherhood. I still had a career. Luckily for me, though, I work from home. One of the prerequisites of me being a mom was that I had to work from home. Because, yeah, I just knew myself. I understood myself. And then like a few months into my baby being here, like 6 months in, I decided to start a master's program. So now I wasn't only managing career, right? I was doing career, I was doing school, I still am, and I'm also doing motherhood. And I can't say there's a balance, right? There are days of the week where I'm like, today I'm in school. Today I'm reading. Luckily, I also do like online. And then there are days where I'm very present for my child, right? And like I'm there a lot. And then there are days where like my career really shines, right? But I feel like the most important thing for me has been time allocation. especially being remote has really helped. I'm a morning person. So most of the time from like 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. that's school time for me, right? From 6 to 9 it's motherhood time. From 9 to 5 it's work time. From 5 to like 9 now that's motherhood again. So I feel like just having these chunks of time and like knowing I'm working from this to this time, I'm reading from this to this time, and like that has really helped me be consistent in a way. But as I've said before, there are still days where some things shine more than others, right? If I have an assignment due, like I'm not gonna be able to do the 5 to 9 motherhood. I'm gonna have to go to school to do that. Okay. So yeah.
Wow. Hapo nimekukopi time. Okay, Claire, as we wind up, I really want to understand, what is it about you, if you were to think, that has attributed to your success? If you're to boil it down to 3 things, what is it about you, about, 3 things that you think, I think this are why I'm here?
Yeah. The first one I'd say God. I'm a Christian. A big one for me is God, because having this faith has really enabled me to, number one, be thankful for what I have and the position I'm in. Like even when I was an intern, I was still grateful, right? It has also enabled me to dream and hope. I don't know, me, I'm a crazy optimist. And I feel like that my faith fueled with the optimism, it just makes things like, if I tell you some of my imagination, you just look at me like, girl, you crazy.
Yeah.
So I feel like a big one has been God. Even like going through the hard times in life and just in career in general, just having the backing of knowing God has got me, God is with me, I am not alone. That has really, really, like, it's given me a confidence, and it's given me like a sense of belonging, a sense of hope, if I can say that. A big one is hope. I have a lot of hope, even when things are not looking good, and that has really, really helped me. The second one would probably be assertiveness. I'm a very assertive person. I know what I want, and if I don't know what I want, I will wait to know what I want. I have never been someone who gets pushed into doing things. I'm not a crowd follower. I actually go against the trend. Most of my opinions are very against the grain. And that's simply because I'm just assertive. Like, if this works for me, it works for me. It's okay if it doesn't make sense to you. That's okay. You have your own reasons, and I'm good with that. Like, we don't have to be the same.
Yeah.
And I think an example of this is now, like when I was choosing what to do in uni, everybody around me said, Claire, go do medicine, go do engineering, go do it now. And I was like, no, I'm gonna go do math. Like, that's what I want to do. And it didn't make sense to me. You would be shocked the number of people who are like, no, like discouraged me, asked me what kind of job I would get. And I was not shaken. Like, I was like, no, this is what I'm doing. So I think the second one would be assertiveness. And then the third one, I think I've already touched on it a bit with God. I think, actually, let that one stick there. I think the last one would be feedback. Feedback and learning. I absolutely love feedback. I'm not one to take feedback personally, especially if it's given in a constructive way. And even if it isn't given in a constructive way, I typically tend to look at, okay, why was I given this feedback? And I'm very quick to learn on it. I never, especially at work, I never take feedback personally. And I feel like that has really helped me grow, because it pushes me a lot. Because I'm like, okay, why did my boss say this? Or like, what do I need to improve? Why did my friend say this, right? What do I need to work on? Yeah, I think and the third one for me would be I'm very good at receiving feedback and learning from it and implementing what I've learned. Yeah.
Oh, very interesting. Now let's close it off with something fun.
Yeah.
Well, you said you are very assertive and you have opinions that people would. So what's your unpopular tech career opinion?
My unpopular tech career opinion.
What's your an opinion around tech careers or tech in general that is not very popular? People would be like, no, I don't think so. Or against what people believe?
I don't know. Like, I'm trying to think, what do people even believe about tech careers? I think maybe it's that about like the money aspect. I feel like people have this dream or idea that it's all money, you know, cash money flowing every day. I feel like that's not really the case. And to get to that point where it's cash money flowing every day, you need to have done, you know, a couple of things. You need to have been at a certain skill set, not just experience-wise, but I have one. I have an unpopular opinion.
Okay.
I believe that experience, like number of years of experience, do not really matter that much in tech.
Recruiters, I hope munasikia.
And let me explain myself.
Okay.
Right? Let's say we have person A, right? And this is just my idea. And I think I've mentioned this to you before. Let's say we have person A, right? Who works a full-time job, right? And let's say their full-time job is not too tasking. So they code like, you know, 2 times, 3 times a week on average, right? So like at the end of 1 year, you know, they can, or at the end of 5 years, they can say, hey, I have 5 years of experience. But then we have, you know, someone who's, let's say, freshly from uni, and for the past 4 years, they have been coding, I don't know, 14 hours a day, right? Or even they have been coding 14 hours a day for the past 2 years, and they have projects to show. I feel like that person's experience outweighs this other one, because they have, in essence, they have invested more time per day in what they're doing as opposed to the other one. So that's why I remember even the time when I was in a managerial position, when I was looking at people to hire, yes, how many years you've worked, great. You know, it tells me something. But how much time did you really invest in what you're doing? I feel like that far outweighs the number of years in a job that you had. So,
that is very solid.
I don't know if that's like an unpopular opinion.
It is for recruiters.
Yeah, but yeah.
All right. Thank you, Claire. I want you to give us a final word for the young techies.
Yes, to the young techies, my final word would just be to keep working, keep dreaming, and keep being optimistic. I know times are a bit hard, or times might be a bit hard, but it's never the time to give up. I'm a big believer in pivoting. Fian is too. If things are not working one way, like knock on another door, try something else, and never give up. Always have big dreams, and keep going.
Thank you, Claire. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. That was so nice.
So yeah, I felt like I was having a conversation with you.
Me, but I'm not responding back.
Yeah, no, you actually are responding.
Okay. That was so nice.